Hello, good afternoon, and if you're a U.S. American, happy 4th of July. I'm actually taking a break from 4th of July activities right now. Both the wife and the child are taking a nap, so I want to get something off my chest. This is a lot less of a perspective from a producer, but this is very, very, very much in the game analysis section of this type of podcast. But I will say again and be very open, this is going to be a bit of a large rant of something that just recently happened. Microsoft has laid off 9,000 people from their Xbox games division in some way, shape, or form. They were affecting the Xbox games division. 9,000 people right before in at least the United States, a federal holiday where most people celebrate. This is the fourth round of layoffs that based on the valuation, trillion-dollar company, trillion with a T, trillion-dollar company, has decided, you know what, we gotta save money, and we gotta go ahead and mess up some people's lives, and we gotta get them out of this company, even though we hired them in good faith to do a thing. We've decided that the thing that they're doing is not even worth it anymore. Supposedly, it's 9,100 employees. It's something to close to about 4% of the entire amount of employees that Microsoft employs across the world. That's a lot. That's a lot of people. I can actually comfortably say that just about everybody I knew or knows that works in the Xbox games division in some way, shape, or form, all except like 3 have been affected by these layoffs. It's staggering. And again, this is the 4th round of layoffs that Microsoft has done since 2024, specifically January of 2024. In 18 months, as a matter of fact, I'm going to go over it. I'm going to be, someone called this petty. I'm just going to call it science, data science. I like numbers. I'm a numbers guy. January in 2024, Microsoft announced they were laying off 1,900 employees. Bear in mind, this is a couple months right after they finally closed the deal to buy Activision Blizzard. What did they do? They indulged themselves and lay off 1,900 people that were working in Activision Blizzard. That's, I guess, what you do when you spend $70 billion to buy a bunch of companies and entities and names and licenses, is you say, hey, that cost us a lot of money. We're just going to chop off 2,000 jobs, just about. Awful. Terrible, irresponsible. And then a couple months later, they decided to lay off more employees and close 2 or 3 game studios. The 2 biggest ones were Arcane Studios, which I knew several people that worked at. They had released a game that did not do so hot, Redfall, but I'm going to go ahead and defend Arcane. They didn't want to make Redfall. This was a live service looter shooter vampire hunting game this was their first live service game, and many of the people that I knew that worked at that studio and on that game, the few people that I knew that worked there, they were like, yeah, we don't want to make this. We're shooting and moving as we go. Making a live service game is completely different from like the typical types of games that Arcane makes, which is first person sim type games. But this was not it. And they closed Tango Gameworks. Tango Gameworks actually made a phenomenal, best-selling, award-winning game, Hi-Fi Rush. I'm looking on the icon of it on my computer right now. I'm about halfway through it. I don't know if I'm going to finish it. I don't know if it's for me, but I can tell you I can absolutely see why people love this game. It is a great, phenomenal game. It's a button timing action platformer game. It's good. It's really good. And it uses a bunch of licensed songs. There's a lot of heart and soul into it. Yeah, make a successful video game and then lay off everybody working there and close down the studio, making it. Why? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. It's like a sick joke. It's like nothing will save you from this corporation. You can't even make a really good game, and that would save your job. Actually insane. It was a very successful game, too. Some people will argue that one of the reasons that it was successful is because it was released also into the wild and on Game Pass, but it's like, so what? That's Microsoft's deal. They want to push Game Pass. So if people play it via Game Pass, that's good. I think that's good. That's good. I purchased it. I don't have Game Pass. Maybe I should have gotten Game Pass and just played it that way. I don't know. Apparently giving money to the studio didn't matter. I don't know. Then in September of 2024, they laid off another 650 employees. Why not? Why not? And now we are in July of 2025, and they laid off 9,000, more than 9,000 employees, and closed several studios. I will read you that list of studios. This is important. And they canceled a bunch of games while they were at it. So we are losing talent. We are losing intellectual property that might not ever again see the light of day. Yeah, that's bad. That's bad. And how do you get that back? You don't get that back. They're scattered to the wind at this point. And I'm sure some of them kind of like say, you know what, I kind of hate Microsoft, as it were, and I'll do everything I can to speak ill of them. And I don't blame them. At the moment, I don't. I want to do this thing. Phil Spencer, the head of the Microsoft Games Division, the Xbox Games Division, released a memo to all staff in the gaming division. I'm going to read this memo in its entirety, verbatim, because I want you all to hear, when you lay off 9,100 plus employees, what the head executive, I'll go ahead and tell you how much money he makes per year, said to all the employees as he was laying them off. It goes as follows. Today we are sharing decisions that will impact colleagues across our organization to position gaming for enduring success and allow us to focus on the strategic growth. We will end or decrease work in certain areas of business and follow Microsoft's lead in removing layers of management to increase agility and effectiveness. Out of respect for the impact of today, the specifics of today's notifications and organizational shifts will be shared by team leaders in the coming days. I recognize that these changes come at a time when we have more players, games, and gaming hours than ever before. Our platform, hardware, and game roadmap have never looked stronger. The success we're seeing currently based on tough decisions we've made previously. We must make choices now for continued success in future years, and a key part of that strategy is the discipline to prioritize the strongest opportunities. We will protect what is thriving and concentrate effort in areas with the greatest potential while delivering on the expectations the company has for our business. This focused approach means we can deliver exceptional games and exceptional experiences for players and generations to come. Prioritizing our opportunities is essential, but that does not lessen the significance of this moment. Simply put, we would not be where we are today without the time, energy, and creativity of those whose roles were impacted. These decisions were not a reflection of the talent, creativity, or dedication of the people involved. Our momentum is not accidental. It is a result of years of dedicated effort from our teams. HR is currently working with the impacted employees to provide severance plan benefits aligned with local laws, including pay, healthcare coverage, and job placement resources to support their transition. Employees whose roles were eliminated are encouraged to explore open positions across Xbox Gaming, where their applications will be given priority review. Thank you to everyone who has shaped our culture, our products, and our community. We look forward with deep appreciation and respect for all who have contributed to this journey. Phil. I've worked in some way, shape, or form in gaming for 13 years. And that is the most limp, pathetic memo I have ever read when you're telling someone that you have to lay off employees. I'm going to be honest, half of that letter, memo, whatever you want to call it, is about how great the company is doing, and there's a whole paragraph dedicated to pointing out how great the company is doing with the employees that they had hired and are now laying off. Actually disgusting. What is it you're trying to say to these people? That thank you so much for getting us to where we are. By the way, here's a pink slip. With no other prior notice. In 2024, Microsoft had a profit of $88 billion. Billion with a B. Phil Spencer, the head of the Xbox Games division, the one who wrote this memo, his salary in cash, not in compensation with stocks, not in compensation with bonuses, we'll get to that, his cash salary, one of the only good things about a publicly traded company is they have to report this, is $10 million a year. If Phil Spencer wanted to be brave, he could have said, you know what, I'm taking a $1 paycheck for the next 1 year to right the ship. If that's what needs to be done, the ship needs to be righted. And he would have saved 100 jobs. Would he have saved the other 9,000? No. Probably not. But I don't think Microsoft needed to, quote unquote, lose 9,000 employees. $88 billion in profit. You didn't need to lay off anybody. You could have said, hey, of that 88, we're going to go ahead and put $8 billion of the 88 aside, and these 9,000 people still get to have a job. It would have been that simple. Do the math yourself. Bust out a calculator on your smartphone. Pretend everyone makes $100,000, $200,000 a year. Account for another, I don't know, $50,000 for a bunch of benefits and bonuses and whatnot. Could have saved so many jobs. $1 billion is a lot of money. A lot of people don't really think about how much $1 billion is. A couple billion would have saved these jobs, but we can't have that, can we? I when I read this news, I was like beside myself. I won't say the name of who, but there was a student I taught. They graduated not too long ago, about a year, 2 years ago, and they got a job working at a Microsoft game studio. They were one of the people laid off. Phenomenal student, did really hard work, and they were laid off for no reason other than Phil Spencer said, you all did great, but now we have to go ahead and save some money. There are colleagues that I know that were working in Microsoft for 8 years, doing damn good work. Laid off. Just because. Some people I know, once again, people I've worked with, colleagues, people I keep in contact with, they were celebrating anniversaries, work anniversaries this month. And on their work anniversary, they were laid off. And again, to them for basically no reason. Now, the reason why Microsoft is saying, to their investors at the very least, not to their employees, is because they need to go hard in the paint and they need to dedicate $80 billion, pretty much all of their profit, in the next year towards Microsoft's AI. You know, I know when the rumors about like, hey, AI is coming to take your job, I'm not sure a lot of people saw that as, hey, AI is we're going to dump a bunch of money in the AI to take your job. Not that AI is going to be efficient at taking your job. Because you can't tell an AI, an LLM, or whatever, some generative machine, some robot to make a video game. I know they're trying. I saw Microsoft's little Quake 2 demo, and I actually showed that in all of my classes that I teach at how embarrassing it was and how much energy it used to make this barely working demo. It used something like 5 megawatts of energy to make a barely working demo of Quake 2, a 30-year-old video game. Actually pathetic. And they want to dedicate another $88 billion to it. For what? To get what? Ugh. It's beyond the word frustrating. I want to do an apples-to-apples comparison. Because I know... actually, before we do the apples-to-apples comparison, I'm going to read every studio that was affected by this. I think that's important. Let me go ahead and get the list that I have over here. So, these are the studios. Raven Software. This is a developer that has been working... They actually made a lot of first-person shooters. A lot. Some that you've heard of. Castle Wolfenstein. I think Blood. They've been a developer for a long time. They have had a huge amount of layoffs, even though they've been working on Call of Duty for the past, I don't know, 15 years. Apparently that wasn't enough to save a bunch of jobs there. Turn 10 Studios, the studio that makes Forza Motorsports, which is a successful series of games. They've been doing great. They've had great sales. Lots of people have been really enjoying their products. Doesn't matter. Actually, just doesn't matter. 50% of that entire studio let go. 50% of a studio, a game studio, kind of puts you into a skeleton crew mode. That's actually nuts. Rareware Studios, I guess they don't call themselves Rareware Anywheres, but Rare. They had a bunch of people that were laid off, and they had to cancel the game Everwild. Quick side note, I actually playtested the alpha version of this game when the developer, which was not Rare at the time, was shopping around for a... they were shopping around for a publisher, and I won't say who, but I may or may not have worked for a publishing arm of said studio and played it, and I was like, oh, this is not a fun video game. And obviously we didn't pick up on that. So here we are. But, alright, so this game was actually 10 years in development, and they could not find a way to make the game successful or even good to play, or couldn't even market what it actually is. So maybe that might have been the right decision to cancel that game. The layoffs were? I don't know about that one. Don't know about that. There was a giant MMO that ZeniMax Online Studios was working on. It was codenamed Blackbird. Supposedly, Phil Spencer loved this game so much that he was told repeatedly to stop playing the alpha or whatever version of it to do some work. And yeah, that entire MMO and the entire team that was working on it is all gone. The MMO is gone. The entire team working on it laid off. So, okay, that's a lot of talent. Now, don't get me wrong, I am kind of against live service games as in general per se. So this might have been Microsoft seeing the writing on the wall saying, hey, live service games aren't working and this one ain't gonna work either, so get rid of it. Unfortunately, I can kind of agree with that, but maybe you should put the employees on something else? Or maybe you shouldn't have started working on a live service game in general. I'm not saying live service games can't be successful. I still play Helldivers 2 semi-regularly, and that is a live service game. It's also made by a small studio, smaller, and it didn't dump like millions upon millions upon millions into it. And they only charge $40 to play it, not a monthly fee or anything like that. There's a lot going on with Helldivers 2 that makes it extremely attractive to many people. But maybe that's a different thing or a different conversation for a different time. The new Perfect Dark game. I don't know if this was a reboot. I don't know if this was a sequel. Don't know. Yeah, that Perfect Dark game is gone. And the studio that was creating it, called The Initiative, they are also gone. Supposedly, there was a report coming out. By the way, I'm getting all this information from GameStop.com. GameSpot.com. And also part of this information is coming from Video Games Chronicle. Supposedly, the game was in rough shape, as reported in May of 2024. So maybe they couldn't find a way to get the game working. But from the gameplay trailer footage that they've shown on it, I think there was a there. I definitely think there was something there. I don't know if Microsoft wasn't supporting it well. I don't know if they were ever going to support it well, but I would have been interested in it. High Moon Studios, the team that has been working on also Call of Duty games for a long time. They have been working on supporting Call of Duty games. They had a lot of cuts, a lot of layoffs that affected them. Not just affected them. Microsoft just kind of indulged in them, we'll say. They pleased themselves by laying off a bunch of employees, even though Call of Duty itself is an extremely successful franchise. Again, it's not enough. I don't know what they want. You can work on highly successful games that a lot of people play, and apparently that's not enough. That's disappointing. Speaking of Call of Duty games that are very successful, and it doesn't seem to matter, Sledgehammer Games, one of the co-developers of Call of Duty, one of the companies that just makes that, has faced layoffs. Why? I couldn't tell you. Actually, I don't know. Again, Call of Duty sells millions upon millions upon millions of copies like clockwork every single year. I'll be honest, I haven't played a Call of Duty game since Warzone because I'm no longer the target demographic for it. I'm no longer a teenager. Yeah, that was kind of a slight, but it is what it is. I'm just not the target demo for military-based shooters like Call of Duty. But there is a huge market for it. They exist, and it is literally $1 billion franchise, but it doesn't seem to matter that you're working on $1 billion franchise. You could face layoffs because Blizzard / Activision has announced that they had a lot of employees laid off, or their roles will be shifted. Something along the lines of 100 employees. There is a game that came out called Warcraft Rumble, which is a mobile game. And it has been announced that no more support or content will be added to it. All events will continue, but they're in the skeleton crew mode. They're kind of a ghost now. Bug fixes will be done, but that'll be extremely minimal. No more updates will be made to it. Whatever that game is what it is. It's not going to get much better. I guess it's not going to get much worse. And again, speaking of live service games, that is a live service game. So when it's finally done and they shut it off, it's gone for good. Halo. The Halo Studios, 343 Industries, has encountered a lot of layoffs as well, even though they are currently working on the next Halo game that's supposed to be made in Unreal Engine 5. I have my issues with Halo Infinite. I have Halo Infinite. I think it's still installed on my computer, but it's fine enough. I'm not in love with the single player of it, but a lot of people have mixed feelings about it. But it is Halo. It is like one of the largest names in first-person shooters. So seeing that, hey, we're going to try to make another one of these games, and you lay off a lot of talent that were making it, extremely disappointing. Romero Games, if that name sounds familiar, if you're a big industry head, John Romero, one of the co-creators or co-founders of id Software, which made Doom, the 1993 original. They also made a lot of games, but they're mostly known for Doom. So John Romero is mostly known for Doom, and him and his wife, John and Brenda Romero, created Romero Games. It's a small indie studio that makes games every so often. Good for them. Great. They were getting funding from Microsoft, and that funding just gone immediately, canceled. They don't outright say that it was Microsoft, but they do make it very apparent. They said, as of today, a major publisher said they are ending all of our funding for upcoming projects, which is disappointing. And also Romero's Games has had to lay off some employees because the funding dried up. Undead Labs, one of the studios, smaller studios here in the Midwest area, has had layoffs as well. I know because I know people that work there. It is 50 miles down the road from me. Of course, I know some people that work there. So again, extremely, extremely disappointing. You know, let's talk about apples to apples. I know I said put a pin in that. We're coming back to that pin. Microsoft has, I've been saying this for like months, years now, actually. I think I've been saying it for the past, like, I want to say 2 years, especially since the layoffs of 2024 easily. So we'll just say a year and a half. Microsoft is leaving the hardware console gaming market. They're slow walking themselves out of it. Some people inside the industry will say like, well, duh. Some people will actually say, I don't know about that one. Do you have any proof? Well, my proof is they don't want to keep any employees to keep their franchises going. Especially their heavy-hitting franchises. Also, Microsoft seems to be uninterested in making hardware for gaming. So, rumor has it Microsoft was working on, their Xbox Games Division was working on a handheld that would be a competitor to the Nintendo Switch and the Steam Deck. And, well, they decided to scrap that because Windows 11, which would be the proprietary software that would be on that handheld, does not work for gaming handheld experience. Apparently, people hate it. I haven't tried it myself, but I'll take the word for it that it's not great. So instead, Microsoft has partnered with ROG, which makes the ROG Ally, which is a handheld gaming computer. It looks a lot like a Nintendo Switch. You kind of look at it too quickly without examining it. It looks like a colorful Nintendo Switch. And they were going to release the Xbox ROG Ally X. For how much money? I don't know. Currently, the ROG Ally sells for about $700 to $1,000, depending on what model you want. Rumor has it the Xbox ROG Ally will sell for $500, maybe? Maybe. There's some issues going on with that. If they're trying to build a competitor to the Nintendo Switch, or in this case the Switch 2, they are way out of their league. I have a Switch 2. It's about 2 feet away from me right now. It is $450. We'll pretend that Microsoft's ROG Ally X sells for $500, even though the ROG Ally X, the non-Xbox version right now, is $700. I'm going to put that aside. We'll say they're going to release it at $499.99, $500. The Switch 2 has already sold, as of me recording this, 5 million units across the world. For reference, when the Switch 1 came out in 2017 and 1 month has gone by, I want to be clear, it's only been 1 month, and 1 month had gone by, the Switch 1 had sold 2.74 million units. So Nintendo has found a way to almost double the amount of hardware sales while charging 1.5 times the price of the same hardware. Not the exact same hardware. It is an upgrade. It is a bigger console, more powerful, blah, blah, blah. But for people that were worried that the price would keep people away from it, nope. No, it did not. As a matter of fact, the exact opposite happened. Couldn't be further from the truth. It's actually the fastest selling video game console ever. And it's going to be a long time before some other console breaks that. And Microsoft knows that. They can't compete with that. So they want to do something different, and we'll see. The Xbox ROG Ally X is supposed to come out this looking it up right now. It's supposed to come out, according to their website, holiday season 2025. How many Switch 2s do you think Nintendo will sell by holiday 2025? Which is, looking at my calendar here, that's about 4 months away when that starts. We'll say November. We'll say Black Friday season. You think it's going to be 8 million? We'll be generous and say, like, I don't know. We'll say 10 million. 10 million units out there. Is there even going to be a space for Microsoft to slot into? Let's talk brass tacks here. Let's really get down into it. Again, Phil Spencer, before his bonuses and stock options, other compensation structure, brings home $10 million a year. After bonuses, stock options, and compensation, supposedly it all adds up to $50 million a year. I don't know how true that is. You can go ahead and check the Microsoft earnings report, and they legally have to disclose that once a year. The $10 million figure is correct, though. The up to 50, that one is you have to start playing with a bunch of numbers. Let's talk about the CEO of Nintendo. CEO of Nintendo, Shuntaro Furukawa. He is the CEO of one of the largest Japanese software and hardware companies in the world. Everyone knows what Nintendo is. They are sitting upon billions of dollars. They just made something like $2.5 billion in 1 month. Not necessarily all profit, just revenue, selling the Switch 2. That one human being makes $2.5 million a year. That is a fraction of what Phil Spencer makes. And his company, unlike the Xbox Games division, I guess, is actually successful. Burn. How about Shigeru Miyamoto? Most people know what he is. He's Mr. Mario. He created the character Mario, Donkey Kong, Zelda, Pikmin, franchises that most people have heard of. You know what his salary is? It could be anything. He created Mario. He could ask for whatever check he wants. He makes $2 million a year. He makes slightly less than the, relatively speaking, be clear, than the CEO of Nintendo. The guy that created Mario makes $2 million a year. And that is an extremely reasonable amount of money, because I'm sure he's not struggling. This is the problem right here. There is way too much money in this one American company that is just mishandling it. How do you spend $70 billion buying Activision Blizzard, but you can't save any of that to keep all the employees on your docket paid and fed? You know, when the Wii U... Oh, yeah, I want to leave on this. I want to leave on this note. Because I guess I could go on for the next 2 hours about how destructive and how bad it is that Microsoft just made so many people right before a holiday where everyone's supposed to celebrate. So many people just like anxious, probably house poor, at least temporarily. I don't know how long their severances will last. Definitely threw them to the wind in a very already volatile market right now. Satoru Iwata, may he rest in peace. He passed away, I do believe, in 2018. When the Wii U, the Nintendo Wii U, that console that came before the Switch, when that thing was bombing, and I mean it was bombing hard, they had every reason in the world to start a mass layoff wave. And you could see it coming. Like, anyone that was following Nintendo was like, yeah, they're going to start getting rid of people here soon. Instead of that, Satoru Iwata himself propositioned the board and said, me and every executive here needs to take a massive pay cut, because people will lose faith in the Nintendo brand if we lay off a single person. And they agreed to it, and they did. I think Satoru Iwata took himself like a 40% pay cut and every executive across the entire board took massive pay cuts, and they said, we are going to right this ship, and we're going to make sure that we all feel the pinch, everyone at a high level, but not the people in the trenches, not the regular employees. They didn't do this, we did this. That man passed away from cancer. He was too good for this world. But that is the approach that Phil Spencer will never have the guts to make. I don't care if he hears this. I don't care if he says like, whoa, I heard what you said about me. That was pretty mean. I don't think I can hire you. Yeah, good. I've already turned down working on Halo Infinite when I was offered that job back in 2018. They weren't going to pay me enough, frankly speaking, and they were going to put me on a contract, which meant after 18 months, I didn't know what was going to happen. You're going to put me on full time, or were you going to put me on another contract? I wasn't here for that, didn't take the job. And I guess that was prescient. $1 trillion company chewing up and spitting people out like that. Awful, disgusting, awful. We need more Iwatas in the world and less Spencers. If you're listening to this right now and you are working for a Microsoft game studio in some way, shape, or form, the word of the day is union. Union. At the very least, if you're about to be laid off, have some ability to come to the table and make sure that you and everyone around you is taken care of. All right. That is all I got for today. If you're in a hot area, which is most of the northern hemisphere, stay cool, drink lots of water. I'm so sorry to all of my colleagues that have been affected by this. It's actually awful. Have a good one. We'll talk to you later.